When people think of horror games, they often think about monsters first. Zombies breaking through windows, mutated creatures stalking corridors, or sudden jump scares designed to make players panic. But in the original Resident Evil, the true source of horror isn't just the monsters, it's the house. More specifically, the Spencer Mansion. At first glance, the mansion seemed like a fairly standard haunted setting, a giant isolated estate hidden deep in the Arklay Mountains, room filled with strange noises, locked doors, and unsettling silence. But the Spencer Mansion is more than just a spooky backdrop. It is one of the most important spaces in video game history, a location designed not only to scare players, but to control them. I am Existential Thinker. Today, we're looking at how the Spencer Mansion in Resident Evil works as architecture, as narrative, and as psychological horror.
Got cold feet already? That's not like you.
The first thing players notice about the Spencer Mansion is how little freedom it gives them. Unlike modern games where players are often pushed forward through wide open environments, the mansion immediately restricts movement. Doors are locked, hallways are narrow, staircases connect wings in confusing ways. Rooms seem important but inaccessible. The mansion is essentially a puzzle box disguised as a residence. Progress is never straightforward. Instead of moving from point A to point B, players constantly loop back through old areas. A key found in one room opens a door on the opposite side of the building. Press unlocks a hidden mechanism. A strange emblem suddenly makes sense only after an hour of exploration. This creates a powerful gameplay loop: explore, discover, return, reevaluate. The player becomes trapped in a cycle of uncertainty. Where do I go next? Did I miss something? Can I survive another trip through that hallway? This is what makes the mansion brilliant. It forces spatial memory. Over time, the player begins to memorize the layout. You remember where the save room is. You know which corridor contains danger. You learn which staircase is the fastest route. The mansion slowly transforms from unfamiliar territory into something deeply familiar. And that familiarity is exactly what horror needs. Because once you know a place, the game can violate your expectations. A hallway you once considered safe suddenly becomes dangerous. A window shatters. An enemy appears where there wasn't one before. The familiar becomes hostile, and that's terrifying.
What do you make of it?
Well, I guess we were right about this mansion being quite unnatural.
You have a way with understatements.
Narratively, the Spencer Mansion is built on contrast. On the surface, it looks refined. There are grand staircases, dining halls, portraits, libraries, even, antique clocks, and decorative armor. It feels aristocratic, almost noble, like a place built to project wealth, order, and prestige. But beneath that elegance is something rotten. Secret passages hide behind walls, underground laboratories exist beneath the estate, research notes that document horrific biological experimentation, human remains and failed test subjects concealed just below the polished surface. This is the mansion's core theme: civilization hiding corruption. The house is essentially a lie. Everything beautiful about it is a mass, and this directly connects to its owner, Oswald E. Spencer. As one of the founders of Umbrella Corporation, Spencer represents power taken to its most secretive and monstrous extreme. The mansion isn't just a home, it is a monument, a private fortress where wealth and influence shield inhuman activity from public view. This gives the mansion symbolic weight. It is the architectural embodiment of hidden evil, luxury above, horror below, respectability covering monstrosity.
There are still rooms in that mansion we can't get into because they're locked up. I've been looking for ways to...
Okay, if there's anything, I'll go back to the other mansion.
The Spencer Mansion is also a masterclass in environmental tension. Its design constantly manipulates player psychology. First, there are fixed camera angles. Instead of allowing players full control of perspective, the game places the camera in predetermined positions. This limits information. You can't always see what's ahead. Sometimes the camera frames a hallway from an awkward angle. Sometimes an enemy is just outside view. This creates uncertainty. The mansion literally controls what you're allowed to know. Then there's the use of narrow space. Combat in Resident Evil is intentionally uncomfortable. Hallways are tight, movement is stiff, enemies block passageways. Even basic encounters feels risky. Should you fight or conserve ammunition and run? Every decision carries a cost, and this turns the mansion into a pressure system. Its architecture isn't neutral. The building itself creates vulnerability. However, there are also safe rooms. These small spaces provide temporary relief. Here, there are no enemies. There are save points, item storage, and calming music. After extended tension, these rooms become emotionally significant. They are tiny pockets of security inside an otherwise hostile structure. And because the mansion is so dangerous, these safe rooms feel genuinely comforting. The game weaponizes relief. Safety becomes rare enough to feel precious.
Are you with anybody, Jill?
No? But why?
The stars are finished. Someone is a traitor. Umbrella set us up.
What makes the Spencer Mansion truly memorable is that it feels alive. Not literally, though, given the name, that wouldn't be surprising, but structurally. The mansion has personality. It resists intrusion. Its locked doors delay progress. Its puzzles seem absurdly theatrical. Its hidden mechanisms suggest intentional secrecy. It feels less like a house and more like a system designed to test trespassers. Even its illogical elements contribute to this. Why does a mansion require gemstones, musical scores, and bizarre crests to unlock doors? Realistically, it makes no sense. But symbolically, it transforms the house into ritual space. You're not simply entering rooms, you are decoding a system. This makes the mansion feel deliberate, almost intelligent, as if it wants to keep its secrets buried. That gives the environment agency, And once an environment feels active, it stops being background. It becomes a participant. That's why many players remember the mansion as vividly as they remember the characters. Because in many ways, the Spencer Mansion is the game's most important character.
It's magnificent.
For the sake of this thing.
You know, I hate goodbyes.
The mansion also mirrors the game's narrative progression. At the beginning, players explore respectable spaces: dining rooms, bedrooms, libraries, and art galleries. But as the game progresses, players descend into basements, tunnels, caverns, laboratories. The deeper you go, the uglier things become. This is both literal and symbolic. Architecturally, the player is descending beneath the civilized surface. Narratively, the player is uncovering truth. The house begins as a mystery, then slowly reveals what it really is: a machine for concealment, a facade built over scientific horror. This downward progression is extremely effective. It creates a sensation of peeling away layers. Every unlocked door feels like another barrier removed. Every hidden passage is another step towards revelation. By the time players reach the laboratories, the mansion's illusion has completely collapsed. The noble estate is exposed as infrastructure for nightmares.
There are only 3 STARS members left now. Captain Wesker, Barry, and myself. We don't know where Chris is.
The Spencer Mansion remains one of gaming's greatest environments because it succeeds on multiple levels at once. Mechanically, it is a tightly designed exploration puzzle. Narratively, it symbolizes corruption hidden beneath elegance. Psychologically, it generates fear through control, restriction, and violated familiarity. Most horror games ask a simple question: can you survive the monster? But Resident Evil asks something more unsettling: can you survive the place? Because the Spencer Mansion is not simply where horror happens, it is horror disguised as architecture. A beautiful home built to hide decay, a maze designed to confuse, trap, and reveal. And decades later, it remains one of the clearest examples of how level design can become storytelling. Not just a setting, not just a map, but a nightmare you learn room by room. You know, the price of nobility is steep, and Ramsay Beowulf paid the price in full. This is Existential Thinker. Thanks for watching.